Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very thankful and grateful to be here, and I'm also grateful that all of you showed up to see my demonstration of biocoherence. What I'm going to talk about today is the module that I find the most powerful. Not to say that the other modules are less powerful, but this is the module that I really resonate with, probably because of the esoteric philosophies and training I've had over the years. And well, first of all, I'm going to show energy. And Jack Doe was kind enough to allow his explorations used for educational purposes. So really what I'm going to do is start off and just really what I'm talking about. Biocoherence is energy. It reads the energy of your body, and it basically your body sings to the software. The software listens, analyzes it, and then sings back. And one thing that I find when I offer people permission slips, because nobody can heal anybody, people can hold space, but really all you're doing is handing somebody a permission slip for them, if they so choose, to heal themselves. Even if you're an energy mover, the energy that you supply to the body, if the person isn't willing to accept it, they don't heal. But they are the ones that heal themselves. So this right here is just chakras. And it's your energy system. There's more energy expressed through your body than all of your nerves put together. Okay? And where I'm going with this is mind-shadow drives, because I believe through my training that dis-ease, all dis-ease comes from emotional responses in our body. And some of these emotional responses, we get triggered, and yet we don't even know why that person triggered us, right? So really, I just wanted to show the chakras because this is a demonstration of the energy. Most people are aware of chakras or the grounding plane, right? So down here at the bottom, this is Schumann cavity resonance. And up here is gravity B waves. What does that mean? That means that is your antenna to the rest of the consciousness that we only observe a tiny fraction of, that we interact with, a time-space distortion. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the module that I think, for me, is the most powerful. In fact, I believe that as this particular process, this module or biocoherence evolves, this is going to become the de facto treatment for emotional, psychological problems, addiction, what have you. Now, I am not putting down allopathic, but you know what? This isn't a pill. An allopathic psychologist, I had to go to a psychologist, and what did they describe? Valium and Xantax. That was like I was a walking zombie. You don't get that with this, okay? So it starts off by telling me my personality. Well, I find this beneficial because if a person gets a scan, a client comes to me and I give them a scan, which you put your thumbs on the sensor, and I don't have the sensor in my pocket, but anyway, you put your thumbs on a sensor and it's an electrocardiogram, non-invasive. You get a scan. This is an aggregate of 6 scans, so there's a progression, which is very helpful, but each biocoherence scan is an individual scan. A way I like to describe this is you go to your doctor and the doctor wants you to get a blood test. The doctor doesn't do the blood test. The nurse may draw your blood, but it goes to a phlebotomist, a lab. And then they analyze it and the doctor looks at the piece of paper. And then you take your medicines or whatever protocol the doctor describes or prescribes, and then you come back and they do another blood test. Well, each blood test is an individual test, and then the aggregate of that is how he analyzes your prognosis, his prognosis of you. Well, biocoherence is like that. Each scan is an individual scan, a snapshot of the energy in your body, okay? And I'm leading up to the drives portion. Why I stopped here is because, well, Jack Doe is a leader. And then I look, well, as a leader, he expresses outwardly, right? Well, he's a leader, a commander, right? So he's going to tell people what to do, but he also has the vision and the plan, or hopefully he has the plan, right? Okay, so, but how does he think? He uses intuition. Well, the intuition is not the mind. The intuition is your body. Where does your intuition come from? It comes from your heart, right? Mental thinking, he has to be in his mind for the plan, you know, put the little pawns on the board, move them around so that they can win, or whatever his process is. And then the time frame. Time frame is spontaneous. What does that mean? That means if plans come up, things change. This is a very flexible person. They can change on a dime. They don't freak out and cower or whatever. They have spontaneous response so that they can adapt to the situation. Okay, this is good to know. You need to know some of this stuff, most of these modules in the mind module of biocoherence. Mind, which is up here. This is the heading, the part. And then there's mind, this is the mind part. Well, where I'm going to go now is shadow. Okay, what are shadows? Well, shadows are the challenges, the traumas that you have experienced this lifetime, and if you so believe, from previous lifetimes. And the ones from previous lifetimes, they're not in this incarnation, so you are subconsciously, you're only aware of them, you're not aware of them, they exist in your subconscious. And I'm leading up to now to the drives. Okay, so now this module has 3 components, and each component has 3 subcomponents, 3 subcategories, okay? And every single one of them have biomarkers. So what we're looking at now is this one is the me inside. What is the me inside? That's my subconscious, okay? And my subconscious has E for emotions, F for feelings, A for actions. So in my philosophy, you can emote. Emotions are like the electrical charge. Ooh, I'm angry, right? That's the electrical charge. Feelings, what are feelings? Where do feelings come from? They come from your heart. That's the magnetic part. Okay, so I'm not trying to rearrange the software, but I think feelings comes first, but emotion, it's based on what I saw earlier with Christine de Goy's speeches. I can see why it's emotion, feelings, and actions. The Trinity, so to speak. Okay, next we have me outside. What is me outside? Well, that's my conscious interaction. That's my reality. I don't create the earth, anything about the earth. I don't create minerals, the air, the tree, the woods, other people. I don't create that. What I do create is I create my social dynamic, which is another way of saying I create my own reality, which I do. Another way of looking at that is my physical eyes. Everybody's physical eyes can only see reflected light. Why is that? Because I create the reality that I exist in. And that reality is predicated on my comfortable sensate definition of reality. Where does that come from? It comes from my subconscious, right? Okay, well, I'm going to stop there and go to others. So you've got me inside, subconscious. You've got me outside, my comfortable sensate definition of reality, how I interact, the social dynamic that I interact with. And then what are others? Well, others, I should say one more thing, I'm sorry. The top part across here is the constructive aspect, positive, and then the bottom half of the horizon line across all these is destructive. So if you look at this scan, Jack has in his me inside, he has nothing across the top. And you're saying, oh, wait a minute. He has nothing constructive. He only has well, yeah, he has destructive because he's worked on himself to overcome.
One second, because we have an audio problem. Is it good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry, you can go.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'll start over. I love this. I'm just getting rolling. I am just getting rolling. Okay, so
We have to change the battery, so